Do you like being deliberate creator? Are you on the verge, or have you moved into the understanding that this is a vibrational universe in which you live? Do you accept that through the directing of your thoughts that you focus the energy, that's how you create? Does it please you to know that knowing what you don't want helps the process? So, does it make you want to be a little more patient with yourself in the interim before things manifest? Are you approaching the willingness to want to go to the vortex for the feeling of it rather than for the manifestation of it? Because once you get there, once you say, my vortex is my objective because there I am whole and therefore feeling good, and then I will focus specifically. Now you are really a powerful, deliberate creator. And here's why. People often think that it is the setting of the goals that is the creative work. Well, the creative work happens when you're in the middle of a relationship that's no fun. That's when you put more fun. The creative work is when you're sifting through what you don't want, knowing what you do want. In other words, the creative work is the sifting, sorting process. That's the creative work. You've done it, 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 you've done it. The creative work is there. Then people think, I have to get really specific about this thing that I want. But when they're really specific, when they don't have it, what do? They hold themselves away from it. You follow that, don't you? We've been talking about that all morning. So when they're not in the vortex and they're really specific about what they want, I want this person to be this tall and have this much money and have this color of eyes and to call me this and to do these things and to have this agenda and to have this heart. When you're saying all of those things and you're not in the vortex, but you're being specific because you think you're supposed to be specific, because that surely must be what deliberate creating is, you just hold yourself out there, having more experiences you don't want, more experiences that you don't want. Too specific. But then you get general. You quiet your mind, you bask more, you have a massage, you put your feet in the water, you pet your cat, you listen to the meditation CD, you listen to music, you do more of those things that ratchets the specifics down. So you're more general. And then you flow right into the first lock of the vortex canal. And now, when you think about what you want, you do it because it feels good to think about what you want, not because you're trying to be specific in order to make things happen. Can you hear the difference? Now you're talking about it because it feels good. Now you're talking about it because you can't stand not to talk about it. Now you're talking about it because it's who you are and it's what's showing itself to you. Now you are going with the flow of it. Are you following what we're getting at? This is such an important distinction. You want to get into the vortex and then be specific. So the rule of thumb has always been, be as specific as you can be and still feel good. And when you're not in the vortex, you can't be specific at all and feel good. But once you get into the vortex, that's when you want to start talking about it. Jerry and Esther will get into a moment in time where they're feeling so good, where something that has happened is feeling so good, and they will just milk it. Anybody listening in would think they had lost their minds, because it feels so good to just keep reiterating over and over again how much I love you and how good life is and how fun this is, and wasn't that good, and did you hear what she said, and did you see the look on her face when she said it, and did you see the look in his eyes when he heard it, and did you see how we all laughed when we did it, and do you remember what it was like when we were floating on that river, and do you remember the river guide and how clever he was, and brought us right up to the edge, and I climbed right out on the boat, and the sloth was hanging right down in a branch, and I looked at him and he looked at me, and he moved his head and he moved his arms so slowly as if to say, I love you too. Jerry and Esther have had that conversation 15 or 20 times since they had their up close and personal relationship with the sloth on the Amazon River in Costa Rica. In other words, they just keep milking it. Eric was the man who was driving the boat. He would say, can you see that crocodile? What crocodile? He would put his laser beam on it and he would shine a light right on the eye of the crocodile. And then the crocodile would look at them and they would look at it, and it would look at them and they would look at it. Just milking magnificent moments. You see what we're getting at? Do all of your offering of consistency and of focusing once you're sure you're in the vortex. And watch the power and the leverage of the energy that creates worlds help you manifest anything that you want endlessly, eternally. Now, many people, at first, when they hear us say that, think, I don't know, Abraham, I've always pretty much known who I am, and I'm in this body. I was little, now I'm big. I was young, and now I'm older. But I pretty much know, I think, who I am. We say, not even close. Most humans have no real sense of who you are. You don't know your power. You don't know your wisdom. You don't know your clarity. You don't know your stamina. You don't know your love. You don't know your worthiness. You are allowing but a scanty little part of yourself because you're fixated on problems and using those problems as your predominant point of focus. Most people offer most of their vibration, which, it's so important because your vibration equals your point of attraction. What you're putting out is what you're getting back. Most people offer the majority of their vibrational output because of something that they are observing. But they're not very particular about what they observe. Do you ever watch television? If you do, you are bombarded by unwanted stuff. And it comes at you much faster than you can sort, sift, decide, and pivot. Much faster, much faster. So you just hear it and 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 hear it, hear it and respond, hear it and respond, hear it and respond, hear it and respond, hear it, respond, hear it, respond. And you let that television train your frequency into unwanted territory, and then you wonder why the things that are in your vortex, the things you really want, don't come to you in the way we profess that they should come. What's wrong with me, you say? We say nothing in the world is wrong with you, but you sometimes let unwanted things do the majority of training you into a frequency that then you say, well, I'm tough. I've got a stiff upper lip. I'm determined. I can play full on. I can make it happen. I will make myself financially prosperous. I will bring myself into alignment with what I want. And we say, really, friends, you cannot force it. You have to feel it into place. You have to allow it. You have to surrender the resistance in order to allow who you really are to be. So you have two indications of whether you're leaning away from who you really are and what you want, or toward who you really are and what you really want. The first evidenced is the way you feel, your emotions. But many of you have become so determined and strong and valiant and vigilant and hardy and determined that you can withstand a whopping amount of negative emotion. Those who were here when you got here sort of trained you that way. Quit your crying. Quit your crying, they said. Keep a stiff upper lip. The world doesn't revolve around you. It really does. It really does. Your world exactly revolves around you. And if you're keeping a stiff upper lip in the face of something unwanted and not doing anything about changing your focus until the tension goes away, you cannot be a vibrational match to the solution. That's what that tension that you feel is. That's your indication that you're not in the vicinity of who you really are and what you really want. You were source energy before you came into these bodies. Do you know that? You don't remember it. Do you know that? You don't remember it. Do you know that? You sort of have to take our word for it, but do you know that? You don't remember that. You were source energy. You don't remember that because you came forth wanting new exposure to new experience, but you don't remember what was before you were in this physical body. But you don't have to remember that because the larger part of you is still there, and that larger part of you is still emanating strong signals to you, so you don't have to remember it, you can feel it. You can feel the vibration of who you came from, but better stated, who you have become. Because as you came forth from this source energy, a part of your consciousness, into this physical body, as you explore here, knowing what you don't want and therefore knowing what you do want, every time you emanate that rocket of preference, the inner being part of you becomes it, absorbs it, amends who you are, becomes the fuller version of who you are as a result of this most recent exposure to life. So you can tell all day, every day, in every moment that you are conscious or awake or aware. You can tell whether you are vibrationally in the vicinity of who you are. You feel contentment, satisfaction, ease and flow, love and passion, exhilaration. In other words, you feel fabulous when you're tuned in to the energy of who you really are. And the less close to that frequency you are, the worse you feel. The more you feel frustration, or lethargy, or anger, or fear, or depression. In other words, the emotional guidance scale really indicates one thing and one thing only, but it's a big thing. It indicates your relationship with who you really are. So, what do you think it is that makes it feel compelling to poke around at that problem in a sort of explanatory manner? See this? I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I really don't like it. It's not enough to just say, no thanks. No, thank you. I'm not the only one who doesn't like it. We hear you say. Nobody really likes that. We shouldn't have to put up with it. We just shouldn't. I'm going to get online. I'll bet there's others feel the same way. Yep. It's a movement. I'm going to join the war against. There's a war against drugs and a war against poverty and a war against teenage pregnancy and a war against poverty and a war against drugs and a war against teenage pregnancy and a war against cancer and a war against drugs and a war against teenage pregnancy and a war against and a war against and a war against and a war against, and they're all getting bigger. Because the more you look at something, the more law of attraction says, oh, here's more, here's more, here's more, here's more. So we want you to realize that while it is of value for you to know what you don't want, while it is helpful to know what you don't want, while solutions are born out of defining the problem, the more you define the problem, the more you define the solution. We just want to be very clear that while you're still defining the problem, you cannot catch a vibrational glimpse of the solution. And law of attraction is responding to you where you are offering your vibration. And there are a lot of people who think that just by saying positive words or by saying it in a positive way, that's enough, that law of attraction should now take them at their word. And we say, law of attraction does not take you at your word. Law of attraction takes you at your vibration. And the only way you really know what your vibration is by the way you're feeling. Today we have blended in a new and profound way, with the help of the questions that you have magnificently brought forth, whether you sat in a chair and verbalized them into the microphone or just projected them from your place wherever you are. You have helped us to remind you that this business of creation is an eternal game, and it is a game in which you are supposed to be having fun right now, right now, right now, right now, right now. We have enjoyed this interaction immensely. It is delicious to come to an environment like this where you are willing to sit and listen to us with the express purpose of moving your vibration upward. We've had a wonderful day of unfolding into new places. There have been several things that we've never approached before, never even come close to before, that we not only came to, but the majority of us collaborated and understand it fully. We are eager about what's before you, not because what was before you played with us here was not pleasing, but because what's before you now that you've played here is going to be obvious to you that it has been enhanced by what we have done here today. In other words, as things unfold over the next few days, you will know without question that it is as a result of your willingness to experience this vibrational shift. It is co-creating at its best. There is great love here for you. And as always, we remain eternally in the vortex.